Now I will describe about the file and folder structure of Laravel. You see that in the last lecture I installed Laravel into here, that is Laravel practice. This is the folder. Into this folder you will see there are many other folders and subfolders. I will now describe you about this. Okay, you see that the first folder is F folder, or you can call it a subfolder, right? Because the main folder is Laravel practice. Into the F folder, what are there? Actually, the F subfolder contains the majority of your application's business logic. The folder is where you will put your models, controllers, and other business logic classes. Where is the controller? The controller is into the HTTP. Here you will see that there is a controllers, middleware, etc. folder. When I will work with the practical project, you will understand what is controller, what is middleware, how those things will work. I will describe you in the other videos. But for now, you just think that this is the one of the main Laravel folders. Just remember it. That is HTTP folder. Also, there is another important folder, that is models folder. What is the models folder? The models folder actually contains the application's eloquent models. Models represent actually the database tables and allow you to interact with the data they contains. There is a providers folder. This is another important folder. It contains all the service providers of your Laravel application. Service providers are responsible for registering and bootstrapping various components. For example, routes, controllers, views, etc. If you want, you can create your custom service providers here also. And here you see that there are another two folders, console and exceptions. What is console? The console, this folder actually contains all the console commands of your Laravel applications. The console commands are classes that are executed through the Laravel's command line interface, CLI, using the artisan file. If you want, you can also create your own console commands here. But I am not going to describe it now. There is another important folder, that is exceptions. This folder contains the exception handler for your application. It catches and formats any exception that are thrown by your application before it sends back to the user. So these are in short the folders that are into the F folder. There is another folder, that is Bootstrap folder. In the Bootstrap you will see that there is a cache subfolder also. This cache subfolder actually contains the cached files that improve the performance of a Laravel application. It includes files, service providers, etc. But I am not going to describe it now. I am going to another folder, that is config subfolder. This subfolder is very important and it contains all the configuration files for various components of the Laravel framework and your application. These files allow you to configure various settings, for example, database connection, mail settings, session settings, etc. You can control from here. After the config subfolder, there you see there is a database subfolder. That is one of the important folders in your application. This subfolder contains all the database related files for your Laravel application. Database migrations, you see that here are total 3 subfolders. One is migrations, another one is factories, another one is seeders. The migration subfolder, you will see that here are some migration files. These migration files allow you to modify your database schema over the time, and you can add or change any database tables and fields from here. So this is very important. Another folder you see that is factories subfolder. It actually contains all the model factories that you can use to generate the fake data for the testing and seeding purposes. And for the seeding, you see that there is another folder, that is seeders. It actually contains the seeders that can be used to populate your database with the test data. There is a public subfolder this contains the publicly accessible files for your Laravel application. For example, the images, the CSS files, the JavaScript files, etc. you can put into this folder and can publicly access using your application very easily. There is a resources folder. This is very important because it contains the views. The views is one of the part of the MVC pattern. And not only views, here are also some other things. That means you see that here is a CSS, JS, etc. Actually, this resources subfolder contains this type of views, assets. Also, it can contain the languages, etc. for your Laravel application. It contains the HTML template. If you go to the views, you see that the HTML templates we write into the blade format here. So it contains actually the HTML templates that you will change by this name, for example, with the extension .blade.php. After the resources, there is another important subfolder, that is route subfolder, and it actually contains the route files for your Laravel application. These route files define the URLs or routes for various components of your application. Also map them with the controller methods. You can also use the middleware to filter the incoming request into the route files. There is another subfolder, that is storage, and this subfolder contains the various subfolders that store files generated by your application at the runtime. For example, the logs, cache files, session files, etc. It also contains, here you see that there is the app subfolder. It contains the application specific files, while storage.framework subfolder contains the framework files. There is another subfolder, that is test. This actually contains the automated test for your Laravel application. These tests can be written in PHP unit or Laravel Dask depending on the application requirements. There is another subfolder, that is vendor, and this subfolder contains the code and libraries that your application depends on. So it includes files from all the installed packages. So this is in short the description about all these folders, or you can call it subfolders, into the Laravel application. And outside this, you will see that there is another important file, that is composer.json. When you will install any package, that will be included into the composer.json file. And also here is another important file, that is the .env. So if you want to see what is into the env file, I can easily show that. This is actually our Laravel application. I am going to open the terminal in this location, and now I am going to write code space then dot, enter. Then the VS Code editor will be opened here. Or if you want, from the VS Code editor you can also open that. I am going to show you that also. I am going to close it. Just run your VS Code editor, then just go here, open folder, and in this way from the application, then go to the map, then go to htdocs, and then go to the Laravel practice, then just open. In this way you can also open that. Here you see that this is the .env, and .env actually contains the database connection codes. Here you see that I am here by default it is using the MySQL database. So here it is written that MySQL. Also the host name is here, port is here. If you connect the application with any database, then you will have to give the database name here, username here, database user password you will have to give here. Also you can do many other things with this. For example, here you see that this is the SMTP connection. If you want, you can set up your SMTP here using all these parameters. So when I will proceed with the practical project, then I will show you everything. I hope you have understood about the file and folder structure what I have shown you today. Thank you.